Kyra just recently turned 18 years old. Her parents like to go abroad, which makes her live alone in a big house. Literature helps her not to be bored, and she has one dream: to become loved. Today, something new happens in her life. She manages to meet a writer like her teacher, Jonathan. He has found inspiration in this remote town. Kyra comes to class early, which surprises Jonathan. He asks where she lives, and they begin to share about their lives with each other. Jonathan is amazed that Kyra has read the entire syllabus. Kyra jokingly replies that she likes it rough. Winnie then walks into the study and takes her friend out to talk while they're gone. Jonathan is looking at Kyra's books and is distracted by Boris. He immediately realizes that Jonathan is reading a girl's book, as its plot is very vulgar. Guys wouldn't read it. Coincidentally, Kyra likes to read a book written by Jonathan. He lives with his wife, Beatrice, who is also a writer. He tells her that her student is reading his book. The duo starts to dance, but they are distracted by a call from Emmy. A new day arrives. The teachers are relaxing, sitting on a bench and drinking coffee. Boris wonders, do ghosts live in the forest? Seconds later, Kyra emerges from the woods and walks right up to the teachers. Boris offers cookies, and Jonathan can't take his eyes off Kyra. A little later, Winnie tries to get Boris's attention, but she bluntly says she's interested in their interaction. Kyra calls her a lunatic and confesses that she's having trouble finding a topic for a future book. Winnie suggests reliving a moment that will help in writing the topic, such as scheming with teachers. The problem is that none of them have been in serious relationships. Winnie is chortling that her first date should be with Boris. Kyra must also realize that Mr. Jonathan is looking at her in some special way, but she denies everything. The rest of the day, she reads Jonathan's book, and they can't take their eyes off each other during class. Jonathan asks to come over after class, and Kyra has the same desire running through her mind, to get all of his attention. A little later, Jonathan decides to dance a little, but he is distracted by Kyra. She promises not to reveal his passion to anyone. Jonathan suggests going to a poetry class. Suddenly, something surprises her. He read her latest work and liked it very much. Kyra is embarrassed and explains what her piece was about. Jonathan chuckles and asks her to write a story in the style of her favorite author. Kyra accepts the assignment, adding that she has read his book in its entirety, then repeats some of the phrases she liked best. Jonathan doesn't even know what to say back to him. Kyra interrupts the awkward pause and apologizes, as Winnie suddenly enters the office, and the duo ends the conversation. Today, the teacher and Beatrice visit a cafe. Vinny works there as well. Boris teases the girl, and Beatrice wonders how beautiful the girl who read his book is. He replies that she is very intelligent and unique. Beatrice decides to declare that Jonathan is not a writer. He chose to work as a teacher after the day he no longer wrote a new book. Tomorrow, Kyra attends a writer's circle. She feels that this day will be very meaningful to her. Jonathan is excited to see her. A guy comes on stage and reads his piece. Jonathan listens to him attentively, but Kyra looks solely at Jonathan. She brings coffee to the teachers tomorrow. Boris shares his cookies. Kyra doesn't understand why Boris makes such delicious cookies, but he doesn't tell anyone about it. He could sell it. Winnie will be able to make a logo. Today, the girls stop by Jonathan's house. He tells them that he is going on a vacation with his wife. Winnie sees them sulking with each other, chatting. And when the teachers leave, she suggests that Kyra make the first move and seduce Jonathan. Their conversation is interrupted by Boris. He has decided to sell cookies. Winnie quickly joins their team. All she needs is his number. That afternoon, Kyra calls Jonathan. He promises her that he will stop by to see her before he leaves. Kyra reasons that when love is real, it is quiet and imminent. A couple hours later, Jonathan arrives at Kyra's house. She comes out of the house dressed in a white dress. All Jonathan can do is stand there and watch her walk towards him. Kyra stops and asks him to come over to her. Jonathan still stands still, and then Kyra makes the first move, followed by a kiss. When he got home, he kept getting a text message from Kyra. Beatrice was annoyed by the notification, and this made Jonathan go to the barn. There, he started reading Kyra's new book, got carried away, and imagined himself as the main character. They were the ones who couldn't resist doing the dirty work. A new day came, and Kara noticed Jonathan's strange behavior. She asked what was wrong with him, to which Jonathan replied that she needed to choose a new author. She stated that he had asked her to write a book on a topic that she knew. Jonathan asked if she really knew it. Kyra replied that she had seen how confused he was. She called it about two similar people denying social constraints. Jonathan thought the book was a little too adult anyway. Kyra was sure he was too scared. They weren't strangers now. Jonathan tried to explain that she was his student and he was the teacher. Kara still wanted recognition that the work was good. Jonathan just didn't want to admit it and called it excessive. But without ambition, it could have been much better. But now he was irresponsible before he left. She left her story in the administration box, and they met friendlies in the evening. Winnie S. asked if he liked Jonathan. Kara called him an imitation of sushi with dressing, but loved him anyway. At that time, Beatrice found out that his student had written it, but he wouldn't admit who the story was about. Beatrice persuaded her to tell the piece. Cairo suggested that Vinny write to Boris, and she did. He came to visit Jonathan's family, and Beatrice noticed Boris texting someone, but he wouldn't say who. The conversation began to take a turn, and Boris put the phone away. Jonathan received a call from the administration accusing him of inappropriate behavior. Whether she could prove that they'd had something, he could lose his job. Beatrice added that it wasn't just the job and asked him to tell the truth. Jonathan swore that nothing had happened. The next day, Kara skipped class. Winnie looked very confused. She tried to make Jonathan feel guilty, but he looked as cold as possible. Later, Kara came to the principal and described their adventures. Jonathan had to defend himself. He was lucky that their stories matched. When asked the final question, Kara replied that nothing had happened that she didn't like. Obviously, Jonathan didn't know what she had answered, and the question confused him. At recess, Paris realized that Jonathan had a crush on Cairo. He has the bad luck to not see a line that can't be crossed. That's what got him into this mess in the first place. Upon returning home already, Beatrice had asked her questions. She did not believe his lies. Jonathan couldn't deny that there had been a spark between them and Cairo. That was the final straw. Beatrice was about to file for divorce. Winnie went to Kyra and asked her not to hurt Jonathan. It would ruin his life just to get revenge for rejecting her. Winnie stood up for Jonathan and said that Kara was lying. She quickly replied that Winnie couldn't do that. She had a secret on her and Boris. When Kara finished writing the book about her and Jonathan, the movie ended.